Welcome back to a new video. So it is about 10 o'clock at night. It'll probably be after 10 when I start. And the only reason on a random Thursday that I'm training this late at night is I just was kind of just being lazy. It's the beginning of spring break for school that I'm at. So tomorrow there's no school, so I can really train as late as I want. I'm not worried about the caffeine intake, keeping me up all night, because I really just only drank coffee today because I kind of figured today would be a more relaxed session just because I wanted it to be. And the last couple days I've been doing quite a lot of work, really this whole training week. And I always feel like Thursdays, I always get to Thursdays, I'm like, I just don't want to do a crazy hard session because then I'm not going to have the energy for Friday. And it's like Thursday's like the perfect day for me to just have a day that's mentally easier, even if it's not physically easier. Because still today I want to do some heavy snatch deadlifts. Hunter Hayes, friend from Instagram, I think he was doing 171. So we're going to try to do some reps above that. So 175 or 180. We'll see how many triples I can do there. It might be really hard. I might not even do that much with it, but I'm good at deadlifts. So I'll just pull my brains out and see what I can do there. But before I get to those, I'm going to do some muscle snatch plus snatch SOTS press. I don't know what I'll get up to with that. We'll just have to play it by ear or play it by feel. And then just some power clean and overhead press. So some pretty light, normal stuff, and mostly just focused on getting some extra shoulder work in. I really say extra, but just like doing shoulder work because it's like I'm going to train every day. So it's hard to say if I'm doing extra stuff. But some shoulder focused weightlifting movements and then some snatch pulls because I haven't done a really good pulling workout during the week. And I want to really emphasize the snatch pull / snatch deadlift. Because like the clean and the regular deadlift is certainly not a weakness of mine, and in any version of it, like I pull very comfortably from that position. In the snatch, it's not as if I'm not comfortable in that position, but I feel like it's a more challenging pull for me, and I'm going to get more benefit from challenging myself by pulling from that position more frequently, or at least as the main pull that I do in the week. Because it'll only be like, I guess, my only pulling session besides if I do stuff on Saturday as well. Which, it's not the end of the world, but I do want to do more heavy snatch deadlifts. I think that'll just be generally good to do for that. But I'm excited that this is the beginning of spring break. I haven't taken any pre-workout. I just drank some coffee. And I think just the way, because I definitely feel like tired now, and it's not like, my sleep wasn't like fantastic last night. I had a meeting before school this morning, so I had to get up a little bit earlier, but nothing that was like radically different. And I think when I make coffee, I make it really not strong, very weak. And so, because I drink a lot of it, so you would think like if I have 3 cups of coffee and it's like a big mug of coffee, so not just 8 fluid ounces, but more than that, that I'd be absolutely lit up. But I could go to sleep right now and be perfectly fine. I think I actually do make it weak. So it probably was truly like the caffeine of maybe 1 or 1.5 cups of coffee, which isn't nothing, but when I have a really good tolerance, when you have a really good tolerance, you can definitely tell when you don't get like the actual dose of caffeine that you're used to. So I'm definitely underdosed in that sense, but at the same time, like I don't really, in a session like this, like the hardest thing I'm going to do is going to be snatch deadlifts, and it's just more of a benchmark session in that sense of the sense that I haven't done like a heavy snatch deadlift specifically. I've done some snatch pulls and all of that stuff, but this will be kind of like maybe maybe 160 will feel really bad, and I won't want to go above that. And then I know I can build from the next session. So it'll give me some building blocks, but I think Thursdays always tend to be like this day where it's like I just don't feel like doing anything but some pulls, and I want to add some stuff on top of that, of course, which will be good. But training continues to go well, and it's important to have days that are mentally easier than others, because if you're always having to get super amped up for all your lifts, and you're just going to have a day where you just miss everything and you'll feel really bad. But besides that, there's not really much else to talk about. I do got both of my little mics down here. So I think for me, the editing should be a little bit easier because I think the sound will play from both sides. So I don't have to worry about editing from the right into the left. So something to keep in mind for myself, because I usually just have one. So then it plays from either the right or the left. But I think if I have both, then we're chilling. But maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Well, we're going to do muscle snatch, to snatch SOTS, some overhead press, and some snatch pulls, and really be sleeping well tonight, because I can sleep in as long as I want, which is really nice. I guess I do have groceries in the morning, but that's a problem for tomorrow, not for now. So we'll get working, get the knee wraps on, because it is quite cold, so I definitely want to have those on just to help myself get moving a little bit faster. And Talk to you at the end of the video. So definitely a productive session. A little disappointed that I wasn't able to do the snatch sauce press with 70 again, but just wasn't feeling it. Just didn't have, when it doesn't move at all. It's a really difficult movement to get leverage from, but the double at 60 I was glad with, and I wasn't trying to do a lot of volume today. I was just trying to, I was like hoping it's like maybe I can do 70 again, maybe I could do 75, I can get it to move, but just wasn't meant to be for the day. But doing the double at 60 is definitely good. And, it's just one of those movements. The snatch sauce press is one of those things. It's like, I think it's good to do and it's good to throw in, but it's just hard to really progress. And really, that's true of a lot of pressing movements just because the muscles you're using are smaller, so the increments of strength that you're able to get are not always noticeable. Even if you are able to just repeat the same weight, that could be a demonstration of strength gain versus like if you only could deadlift the same weight every time and it's say a 200 kilo deadlift and you can only do 200. If you add 201, you fail. You're using a lot of muscles. So like the difference of your strength, you should be able to, get that to go up eventually, at least in a larger increment than your pressing motion, just because pressing is just using smaller muscles. But generally happy with that. It was about what I expected. And then the overhead press, I was pleasantly surprised. I was able to do 95. It seems like that's becoming more and more of a routine number, which is exciting. I think if I'm able to do a double or a triple with 95, then I'll be able to try to actually get a PR again in that, because my best is still 100. But if I get to the point where 95 is really a routine weight, kind of how 90 is now, and then I can start doing 100 again on a more regular basis, and obviously that's an indicator that I'm, if I'm able to do 100% of my max, obviously that's good, good for progress's sake. But getting 95 on a pretty regular basis is obviously a good indicator as well, because that's 95% of my best press. So that's definitely happy with that. And what was weird with the 95, it didn't feel very easy, and I thought I was like 100% sure I was going to fail it as I was pressing it, but I actually got it in like the perfect bar path to go like behind my head, because normally when I get heavy presses and I start to fail or start to get too heavy, I usually go forward with it, and that usually makes it obviously astronomically harder when you move the moment arm in front of you a little bit. But I felt like when I did that motion, even though it dipped on my left side, or at least it felt like my left arm was dipping way down, I felt like I had it in like the perfect groove, and I was just able to keep fighting it there. So it was an odd feeling, because it felt really slow, of course, because it's heavy, but I felt like that it was just moving in the correct plane, which is good. It's a good indicator, because that just means like from a technique standpoint, I'm getting better at them too, which of course is going to net me better benefits. If I'm able to have better technique and get to a higher percentage more frequently, you're going to be able to eventually, increase your max for pressing motions, at least in particular. Probably that's true of literally every motion, but I feel like pressing is really finicky in that regard. If you get slightly out of position, it's hard to kind of fight. Like if I do a deadlift and I get a little bit out in front, like most of the time I can still finish it. Same with like squat. If you get a little bit pitched forward or whatever, like you can usually kind of grind through it. Just makes that rep harder. But overhead press, if you get out of position, it just stops entirely. Sometimes it just stops for no reason. But happy with the pressing. Felt productive, so that's good. And then with the snatch deadlifts, I got up to 210 for triple, which I'm almost positive is the most I've ever done with a snatch grip with any form of resemblance to a snatch motion. But even if I just had my shoes off and was doing like snatch grip deadlift, I'm pretty sure that's the best I've ever had. The best I've ever done as far as any sort of deadlift with snatch grip is 225 or 227. It's right at 500 pounds, I think. Right around there, because it was before I had kilo plates out here, and so I think I've loaded exactly 500 pounds, but I'm not exactly sure. It was right around either 495 or 500, because I wanted to pull what Lasha did, and I remember it was very heavy. It felt as difficult as the 305 kilo deadlift did, if not even harder than that, because the leverages, you just don't have you're at a disadvantage when you have a snatch grip, that is for sure. But I was happy with the 180 triple. I felt like I was able to keep my hips down in a similar position as the snatch for the most part. And then for the 210, I felt like my hips shot up a ton, but then I looked at the video. It didn't look too bad, but obviously, it's not the most beneficial thing to have it be more like a deadlift than like a snatch pull. And so on the last set, because I just did 3 sets of 3, I dropped down to 160 and did that triple there. And I kind of felt like my hips were coming up a little bit, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like I always want my hips to stay perfectly down when I'm doing a heavy pull like that, or a heavy snatch pull or snatch deadlift like that, to mimic the snatch as much as possible. If I feel it come up at all, then I feel like it's like crazy out of position, but really it doesn't look too bad most of the time, and it still looks pretty similar to the snatch. So I think the goal now is not to be able to increase the 210, because there's not going to be a ton of utility in that, but the bigger benefit is going to be increasing the volume between like that 160 and 180 and maybe a little bit more, but just to have triples in there and kind of just have them be faster and just build strength through there. Kind of similar to what I've been doing with squats, but it's a little bit trickier with a movement like this, because your form can break down and you can add more weight and it not be like a necessarily dangerous thing. It just changes the nature of the movement to more of a deadlift than a snatch specific deadlift. So I definitely want to err on the side of doing a snatch specific deadlift than doing just a regular deadlift, because as you all know, I don't need any more deadlift strength. that part, that ship is well on its way to being where it will never be an issue for any of my lifts. So productive day with that. Definitely think this kind of day will be a nice one to have in occasionally, just to make sure that I'm recovered for other sessions, but just one that's focused on just doing snatch pulls of some sort, and to kind of push them a bit heavier, just to make the snatches themselves feel a bit lighter. But I think if I had 2 of these kind of sessions a week, I think it'd be good for the pulling aspect of it. And I did have some pulls on Sunday that I did with the complexes, but just to have another like heavy snatch pull focused or snatch deadlift focused workout will be good. I don't know if I need to focus so much on the like clean pulls and clean deadlifts, but those are just mentally easier to do, even more mentally easier than these. And pulls for me are really easy to do. And so that's why I still like to do deadlifts and clean pulls and stuff like that, because it's really like I can just grip and rip and not really be worried about my hips coming up or anything. I can kind of maintain my position pretty well. But productive session. I'm gonna go in, drink some protein, and head on to bed. But I'm getting my spring break, so I'm gonna go and sleep in at least until my groceries get here tomorrow, and then probably sleep some more. But just try to relax. And I think at the end of next week, towards the end of spring break, I'm going to go to Columbus to a gym. One of the, not the where I have done most of my competitions, but I've done one competition there. With all my competitions, I've done all of them in Columbus besides one. That was maybe that. Oh no, I think that one was in Columbus. Or that one was in Dayton, Ohio. So kind of somewhat near Columbus, in the direction of Columbus. But the other ones were all either most of them are just in that Columbus area. So that's just where most competitions that are close to me are at. But it's going to be the gym where I've done one competition at, and I've trained there one other time. Definitely a great gym. It's just, an hour and 30 minutes or hour and 45 minutes away. So obviously not ideal to drive to on a regular basis. But because it's spring break, I'll be able to go up there one of these days, Friday or Saturday next week. So that'll be a different gym. And potentially I might go up to Canton, Ohio, to the Rubber City weightlifting to train there. Not really sure if I want to or not. Just kind of depends. I might go there maybe Sunday evening. Kind of depends, because I haven't really thought that far ahead. But at the same time, I might just take Sunday off entirely, since I'll be driving up north. And so it's like a three-hour drive each way. So usually a little bit more than 3, unless there's like no traffic, then it's closer to 3. So at least 6 hours, usually a little bit more than that. So that's quite a long time on the road. And, it's nice to take a full day off sometimes, especially if you're driving. But that's enough rambling. Time for me to go get some food and to get to bed. But talk to you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.